Shall start.
Good evening. I'm officially calling the Hawai'i Neighborhood Board meeting to order. My name is Roberta Mayer. I represent Subdistrict 10, and I'm the acting chair tonight. I'm going to ask the board members to introduce themselves, starting at my far right with Herb.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Herb Schreiner. I'm in Subdistrict 6, which is Lunalilo Home Road, Kamiloiki Valley from the skate park back.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Donnelly. I'm at large and I am over in Kalama Valley.
I'm Robbie Allen. My sub-district is Spinnaker Isle and Kuapa Isle. And Go.
I'm Greg Knudsen at large.
This gentleman is Brandon Sark. He is the neighborhood assistant, and he is here to assist us with our process and with minutes.
Hello, everyone. Samuel Wolf, Subdistrict 4, the Hahaione Valley Condo Towers.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Bishop at large.
We have a board member attending online. Paige, would you introduce yourself? She may have stepped away from her computer. Paige Alton is also a sitting board member. This is our convening meeting of the new term. We had to cancel our July meeting because of the tsunami warning. And so we have a very long agenda tonight that we're going to try to go through quickly. But I do want to welcome the new members that have just been elected, have not served on the board before. So tonight is their first meeting. That's Robbie Allen and Tiffany Donnelly. Welcome. We're glad to have you as volunteers on the board. And we have one other brand new board member who has not come yet. So we hope that she will be coming this evening. Now, several of the board members have not yet been sworn in, so I'm going to ask our neighborhood assistant to have the members who need to be sworn in tonight, that's Tiffany, Robbie, Sam, Lisa, and Paige online. Brandon will be administering the oath of office, and if you would stand and just raise your right hand.
You can look at the board. The screen and repeat after me. I solemnly swear that I will faithfully support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the state of Hawaii, the charter and laws of the city and county of Honolulu, and the provisions of the neighborhood plan, and will conscientiously and impartially discharge my duties to the best of my ability as a member of the neighborhood board to which I have been elected. Okay, thank you. Welcome and congratulations.
Herb Schreiner, Greg Knudsen, Elizabeth Riley, and I were sworn in earlier at the Neighborhood Commission Office installation ceremony a couple months ago. So glad to have all of our new members on board and officially sworn in. We are going to, let me also say, we are a 15-member board. We have 11 members that have been elected to seats on the board, and we have 4 vacancies. And we will be considering candidates or volunteers for those vacancies a little later in the meeting. Right now, we're going to be moving on with our status reports from first, the Honolulu Fire Department. Welcome, gentlemen. Who's coming up with the report?
Aloha, everyone. My name is Jed Davis. I'm with the Honolulu Fire Department. Good evening. Thanks for having me. Just here with our statement regarding, this is regarding July 2025. Just as a information, if you want to get more information regarding mapping and things like that, you can visit the fire response search tool on our HFD website at fire.honolulu.gov under the news and info tab. So some good information there. If you have questions, you can email HFD NHB, as in neighborhood board, at honolulu.gov. So July 2025, some statistics. Luckily, we did not have any fires in the month of July, whether they be structure, wildland, brush, nuisance, or cooking. We did have 6 activated alarms that we went to. As far as emergencies, we had 93 medical calls, 7 motor vehicle crash that we had to get going to, 7 mountain rescues, and luckily we had 0 motor vehicle collisions with pedestrians, 0 ocean rescues, and 0 hazardous material incidents. So it's a good. Let's see. We have a fire safety tip, and if you'd want to learn more, you'd go to honolulu.gov/DEM, as in, I believe, Department of Emergency Management, DEM, but /stay, STAY-informed. So get some information on this. This is about remaining alerted during urgent emergencies and knowing where to find official information. So we have these opt-in alerts. They notify individuals who have been signed up to receive alerts via text, email, or app push notifications based on user preferences. So alerts are not sent based on location, though. Systems include the HNL alert and official government social media. You can sign up at hnlalert.gov to receive notifications. And alerts may be shared by official city, state, and trusted partner accounts. And so that's a little specific. Just in general, we have our public alert and warning systems. These deliver urgent life-saving information, including immediate threats to public safety. The 3 categories are the emergency alert system. That's via TV, radio, AM, FM. 2 is the wireless emergency alerts. Those are the ones that seem to always beep on your phone when you're standing in line at the store and you don't know what's going on. Those push ones to your cell phone. And then number 3 is the outdoor warning sirens, which we've all heard throughout our whole life living in Hawaii. So depending on the emergency, 1 or more of these systems may be activated. So hopefully those tips help, and the information, if you needed more, you can go onto those websites that I shared. And hopefully we all stay safe. Anybody have any questions or anything?
Are there any questions for the Honolulu Fire Department?
Okay, thank you all and have a good evening.
Could I have your,
I actually do have one.
oh,
Yes, sir.
Could
I
I-
am your former neighbor.
How you doing?
Okay, good. Yeah.
My question is there was talk about moving the Wailupi Fire Station, but then I saw they're fixing the roof and fixing it up. So I guess they ditched that idea.
I don't believe there's anything official about moving the station, but yeah, they do have done some general maintenance and renovation, which I think involved the roof and some.
Okay. Yeah, we were
road.
told at one time it was going to go over towards Ainaina Elementary.
That was a while ago, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
well,
haven't heard anything since then.
just a thought. Thank
Okay.
you.
Nothing official on the Wailupi station. Yeah. Okay.
could I have your name again, please?
My real name is John Davis, JOHNDAVIS. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
All right, the Honolulu Police Department. I believe they're online. Lieutenant Mira?
Hi, good evening, Lieutenant Mira, Honolulu Police Department. So going over the statistics for last month, motor vehicle thefts were at 3, burglaries 2, thefts 7, unauthorized entry into motor vehicles 9, total cost for service 5,662. And it is back to school season, so we have some back to school tips for bicycling, especially for Keiki. Wear helmets, wear comfortable, brightly colored clothing or reflective vests. Make eye contact with drivers, pedestrians, and other cyclists to be sure they see you, and walk your bike across crosswalks. For pedestrian safety tips, so children are impulsive and may act without realizing the dangers around them, such as running across the street to a friend, chase after a ball, etc. Children also lack judging speed and distances. They don't know how far or how fast vehicles are. Let's see, and other things like jacket for clothing, jackets and sweatshirt drawstrings. Drawstrings may look trendy, but they can also get caught in lots of things such as elevators, playground equipment, and cribs. Remove drawstrings on hoods or around the neck of clothing. And that's all I have for the tips.
Any questions for the Honolulu Police Department? Lieutenant, we still have on our agenda under board business, considering whether or not we want to take some action about commercial vehicles on parked, for extended periods of time, boats and boat trailers and commercial vehicles. And I guess it is still an issue on some streets, residential streets, where I guess it constricts traffic, two-way traffic. Does the police department cite these vehicles when they can?
Yes. So the short answer is yes, if we can cite them. The boats, the boats have been a very tricky issue. I know we had talked about it before here on the board. So, as much as possible, if we can notify if we can find the owners, then getting them to move it seems to be the quickest way of action. But this is something that's ongoing for a long time, island-wide, regarding the boats. It's just the research I've done. It's the law. It's how the law is written. So we've brought it up many times to the higher ups, and it extends beyond only the police department, because the DLNR it gets involved with the DLNR and other agencies and stuff like that. So the department is aware of the hurdles we have with getting rid of boats and that kind of stuff. So, but again, I'll bring it up again, and we can just do what we can.
Lieutenant, also, I received some information that there is a regulation that commercial vehicles are prohibited by ROH 15-16.6, which prohibits parking certain commercial vehicles on public streets for longer than 4 hours. I guess these are large commercial vehicles weighing more than 10,000 pounds and whose length is 20 feet or more. So if a resident in the neighborhood sees this occurring, can they just contact the police department and report it?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions for the Honolulu Police Department? Seeing none, thank you very much, Lieutenant, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Our next status report is from the Board of Water Supply. Hello, Iris. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I usually just tell a main break information and general announcement. So there was no main breaks for the month of July in this neighborhood board area. And the one general announcement I have is, imagine a day without water. It's an event that we have. It's a free family-friendly event on Saturday, September 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is going to be at the Windward Mall Center Court. So during this event, you can learn about One Water concept and why water is essential to every part of life. You can explore interactive displays from over 20 city, state, and community organizations and enjoy hands-on activities, prize giveaways, including a 45-gallon barrel for water catchment. So yeah, go to our boardofwatersupply.com/onewater to learn a little more about that, what's the event coming up, and any water conservation information. And that's all from my report. It's short. And there we go. Thanks. If there's questions.
Are there any questions for the Board of Water Supply? I'm glad that there are no main
Yes,
breaks.
I was happy to see that
Yes,
too. Thanks.
thank you very much, Iris, for joining us.
Thank you.
Our next status report is from the Kaiser Complex of Schools. Mr. Gu, principal of Hawai'i Elementary, is here to provide the report tonight. Welcome, Mr. Gu.
Thank you so much, Board. Again, Kapi Gu, principal of Hawai'i Elementary School, representing all of Kaiser Complex Schools, which is made up of Ainahaina Elementary School, Kamilawiki, Koko Head, Hawai'i, of course, New Valley Middle School, and Kaiser High School. Just wanted to share a little bit about Kaiser Complex of Schools. And some facts is that we are an international baccalaureate world school. That means we're K to 12 and we're considered a system. We didn't know this, but we were notified by the International Baccalaureate World School Association that we are only one of 7 systems that are K to 12 international baccalaureate. So it's pretty prestigious. So that's in the US, but actually there's 0 in the rest of the world. So one of 7 in the whole world. Of that, there are individual IB schools. So there's 1,925 individual IB schools in the US. And then also 5,964 globally. So we feel pretty special, just to be one of 7. I asked our principals, what else are there just 7 in the world of? Like 7 wonders of the world. I don't think we want to be associated with the Great Wall of China or the Colosseum, too violent, but maybe the Taj Mahal. I don't know. We'll see. Well, pretty prestigious. So they're getting a really good international education here in our complex of schools for free. One of the strategies in international baccalaureate is something called agency or student agency. That means students have a voice, they have choice within their learning, and they also have ownership of their own learning. And with those 3 things combined, we call it agency. And so students have a lot of say in how they learn things. And what that does is the purpose is to build intrinsic motivation for learning. And we feel like that's the way to go. Some other benefits of having agency in learning is high engagement, develop problem-solving skills, and then having this sense of increased relevance in their schooling. So, if you take a look at comparing, I want to say, use an analogy of farms in the US, it's measured with acres, right? And so they have to build a fence around to keep all the animals in that farm or in that ranch. But in, say, Australia, it's just too huge. It's like square kilometers and it's just massive. So they can't build fences because it's just too time consuming and too expensive. So they build watering holes where it attracts the animals so they don't run away. We kind of think that's our IB schools. We provide this quality education where kids want to come and learn instead of having all these rules like you better get good grades or attendance rules or school rules just to keep them in school. So we like to think we build the heart of kids and they grow up to change the world. One program I want to share is our Executive Office on Early Learning provided funding and positions for free public pre-kindergarten for our community. So for 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. So we have 1 at Koko Head Elementary School, 2 here at Hawai'i, and 1 at Ainahaina. So if there's space available at the school, we like to provide it. And that's just the service to the community. It's more work for us, but really we feel like this is helping our community and it's helping our kids get ready to be successful in kindergarten all the way up. So please take advantage of that because it's free. We'd love for people to come and sign up. We'd love to see a waiting list to tell us that we need even more pre-K classes. All right. I think that's about all the updates. We do have Kaiser Homecoming coming up. And I see Mr. Balaz, the student activities coordinator here. He might be sharing a little bit about that. But we have our homecoming parade on October 1st and then our homecoming football game on October 3rd. All right. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gu. Are there any questions for the Kaiser Complex schools? Yes, Herb?
In the pre-K program, It's by your income?
Yeah, thanks. Great question. So the first pool of applicants would be from the community who apply and have at least qualify under one category. It could be high poverty, it could be special needs, it could be English learners, or it could be at-risk students. If we don't fill up all the spots with that grouping, then we open it up to anybody outside of the district, and then also those that don't qualify under one of the categories.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very, very much, Mr. Gu, for your
All right.
report.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, board.
All right, we're going to be moving next on our agenda to our community announcements. Are there community announcements to share with the community audience? Elizabeth?
Thank you. I went ahead and put flyers in the back. And because of community demand, we've been able to offer more volunteer opportunities at Kiavava Wetland. We now have in addition to our second Saturdays in the morning, we also have late afternoon dryland reforestation as well as wetland work on afternoons. It's just something that the community has asked for. Please make sure you get a flyer. But one of the things I want to mention about our upcoming second Saturday at the wetland is in partnership with the Fish Pond Heritage Center. We're doing an outreach program that's educating about CRB, coconut rhinoceros beetle. And we're so fortunate to have our outreach manager for this program and also going to be there from the CRB response team from UH. She's fabulous. Her name is Arissa. And something very, very unique is as she educates you about CRB and the things that we can all do, she weaves. And you'll learn how to weave using the coconut palm fronds from Kiavava Wetland while you learn about CRB and what we can all do. I also want to mention, in conjunction with Fish Pond Heritage Center, in relation to this small grant that we got from the Department of Ag, we're going to be looking at networking with residents and commercial spaces in the corridor between Manalua Fish Pond Heritage Center and Kiavava Wetland. Tremendous amount of coconut trees. So we're working on a program for networking and a response mechanism and sharing. Unfortunately, the grant doesn't include any particular practice for protection of tree, but it will allow us at least to connect with the larger community and create that network on that corridor. And for those who don't know, at the Manalua Fish Pond Heritage Center and also at Kiavava Wetland, there's coconut groves that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. So they're very precious trees. So I wanted to share that with you. Please pick up a flyer, and that'll be at this next second Saturday. In addition, our other project, every Friday late in the afternoon, we have what we call Ka'ivi Mauka. We open up the land for hiking, guided hikes. Right now, we're working on some restoration and working on some trails. So if you're interested, again, probably the best thing to do is just go to lhkh.org, and you'll get to check out all these different opportunities to join in your community. Thank you.
Yes, Lisa?
Thank you, Roberta. I just wanted to let everybody know that Hanauma Bay is going to be closed from 8th through the 23rd of September. They're going to be doing some restoration of the parking lot. And so they'll be able to repave it all and do it all in one during that 2-week or 10-day time frame. So that is why Hanauma Bay is going to be closed during that time frame, 8 through 23 September. Thank you.
Any other community announcements? Come on up.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to present tonight. And thank you, Chair, Mayor, and board members for allowing me this time. My name is Ella Miller. I'm a current senior at Kaiser High School and our student body president. I am also accompanied by my advisors and student activities coordinator, Mr. Paul Balas. I'm here to talk about an event we have coming up in just 4 exciting weeks. One of my most favorite ways Kaiser brings the community together, and my personal favorite event of the year, is homecoming. This year, our homecoming week is September 29th through October 3rd. For the second year in a row, we'll be hosting our homecoming parade, followed by a spirit rally with Powerpuff and Flaming K. The parade will begin at 5 p.m. at Cocoa Head Park, go down Onaplau Street, and turn right onto Luna Home Road, and end at the Kaiser parking lot. The parade will feature cheerleaders, ROTC, and color guard, our marching band, our student council, many of our student and student athletes, our alumni, and of course, our homecoming court. Aside from tonight, due to the nature and the impact of the event, and out of courtesy to our community, we will be doing our best to publicize, as we have already reached out to multiple condominium associations, as well as residents in the neighborhoods along the parade route and potential certain impacts. Just today, our leadership class went door to door, handing out flyers and talking with our neighbors, many of whom were Kaiser grads themselves and very excited to hear about this event. Our team is working in conjunction with the City and County Department of Transportation and Parks and Recs, the Department of Education, Office and Facilities and Operations, and the Honolulu Police Department to ensure all goes well. We'll be sending the board members digital copies of tonight's flyer as well, and we would appreciate any help you could provide to ensure our neighbors are all aware and invited. We've got a packed and exciting year ahead of us, and as always, we look forward to the variety of collaborations and opportunities for growth for our school and as a community. This past year, our student council received a national recognition of gold, and I plan to continue that legacy for those to follow. It's events like these that serve as inspiration and a reminder of our community. We appreciate your support. Thank you, and go Cougars. If you have any questions, Mr. Della Palaz and I are happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Ella, for coming and sharing that information. I hope that you won't be a stranger and that you'll come more often to share information with the board and the community. Are there questions for Ella on the homecoming parade? Scheduled for Wednesday, October 1st, between 5 and 6 p.m. No questions? Ella, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Balaz, for bringing the students. And again, come often. Love to see you. Thank you. Other community announcements, come on up.
Go Cougars. My name is Tom Cooper. I'm a resident of this valley. I'm a member of the local organization called HARD, which stands for Hawai'i Advocates for Respectful Development. Many of you have signed our petition opposing possible high-rise construction and further commercial development at the mouth of the Hawai'i Valley, immediately next door. And if you've not, please go to, and those online, please as well, go to hawai'iadvocates.com to sign. Since the last board meeting, some of you attended the town hall in Kaiser High School. It was a long time ago, but believe it or not, it was after the last meeting we had here. It was co-sponsored by Council Chair Tommy Waters and HARD. For the benefit of those who could not be there, please know that over 200 people attended, including friends on this board, such as Elizabeth, Lisa, Brad, Greg, who spoke on behalf of themselves and or the community. Thank you, as did many others. The representatives of Kamehameha Bishop who attended were plentiful, and they know that the vast majority of those who were there and who have signed the petition in our community wish to hear from them, still wish to hear from them about their intentions for the buildings called the James, Cocoa Head, Boston Pizza, and 7-Eleven. Kamehameha also now know that the majority of those who spoke and of those we speak with daily when petitioning do not wish for changes to the status quo regarding these buildings and trees. As for the interior of the James building, several at the town hall and among those who are being petitioned spoke up with pro-community ideas about how the James building might be used. Examples were a school or another educational facility, a cultural center, a medical facility, a spiritual religious setting, and many other pro-community ideas, the most popular of which so far has been a community center. Cheryl Park made an excellent 5-minute presentation about such a center. Chair Waters offered his own thought about the James Building, that it might be used as a museum. And he also noted it's designed to be a good educational facility. He's walked it with us. Those representing Kamehameha also heard that thousands of people have signed our petition. Now, since that meeting, yet another 1,000, mostly in Hawaii Kai, have also signed the petition, and it is growing toward our goal, which is 10,000 signatures. We've also solidified relations with many more community leaders. We're available to speak, and you probably belong to some of these, to your civic group, your board, your school, your club, your church, your committee, or any other interested group or subgroup, and hope you'll extend the invitation to spread the word, sign, volunteer. I spoke with Chair Waters' representatives today, and although I heard they will not be online tonight, we have permission to say they're strongly supporting the community and HARD on this issue. And they gave us other good news. Perhaps we'll be able to share that a little later. HARD wants to thank quite a number of you, Joe Gideon, Tommy Waters, Chris Lee, Mark Hashem, Jillian Anderson, and others who've attended one or more of our events, including some of you. And especially I honor 3 groups of people. First, those who work within those buildings in question, because in a worst case, they could be evicted. That's right. So I say that with seriousness. Second, the many highly supportive parents, students, teachers, and staff who work in this school and in the neighboring preschools. And third, the many boards and governing groups that provide support, allow us to speak, provide a forum for us, such as this one. I want to honor 3 individuals, Gene Ward, who believed in us immediately and placed our petition on his website, where you can still find it, as well as on Joe's website. The second individual is Sam Wolf, representing many of us here on this board, and you, Roberta, for always providing space, aloha, and support for us. Finally, thanks to the several members of this board, you know who you are, who signed the petition, who've come to our events. We appreciate you, and all those online. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Any other community announcements? All right, we're going to be moving on with our agenda. As I indicated earlier in the meeting, this is our first convening meeting of the new year. There are some annual household chores that we need to accomplish tonight, and one of them certainly is election of officers. So the officers to be elected for this annual term, we do this on an annual basis, are chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. I'm going to be asking Greg, as the current vice chair, to chair the meeting as we conduct the election for the chair for this next annual term.
Okay, so nominations are open for the position of chair. Elizabeth?
It's my honor to nominate Roberta Mayer.
Second.
Are there any other nominations, or is there a second to the nomination? That was seconded. Good. And are there any other nominations? So we have before us the nomination of Roberta Mayer to continue as chair of this neighborhood board. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, congratulations. You're elected unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I will do this as long as you think that I can continue to support you. But thank you also for your support. We're going to be conducting the election for vice chair. So nominations are open for the position of vice chair. Elizabeth?
It'd be a privilege to see if Greg Knutson would continue to serve in that capacity.
I second.
All right. Greg Knutson has been, it has been moved and seconded to have Greg continue as vice chair. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, are there any objections to Greg continuing? Then with no objections, the vote is unanimous. Greg, congratulations, and thank you for continuing to volunteer as vice chair. Nominations are open for secretary. I would like to nominate Lisa Bishop as secretary.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that Lisa Bishop serve as secretary for this term. Are there any other nominations? Are there any objections to Lisa Bishop being secretary for this annual term? Seeing none. Lisa, I hope you are willing to serve. You have been unanimously elected to serve as secretary. Thank you for volunteering. We are also asked to nominate a treasurer, even though we do not have a budget for our neighborhood board. But to fill out our officer slate, are there any nominations for someone to serve as treasurer for this next year? I would like to nominate Elizabeth Riley.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that Elizabeth Riley serve as treasurer. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, are there any objections to Elizabeth serving as treasurer? All right, thank you, Elizabeth, for volunteering to serve as treasurer. These are all volunteer positions, folks. We are happy to serve the community, and thank you, fellow officers, for agreeing to serve. New members, we hope that you'll consider serving in coming years. All right, meeting determination, date, time, and location for this next year. Our meetings have traditionally been held on the last Tuesday of each month here at Hawai'i Elementary School cafeteria and on WebEx beginning at 7 p.m. Is there a motion to continue to meet on the last Tuesday of each month here and on WebEx at 7 p.m.? Greg has moved. Is there a second?
Sure, second.
Thank you, Herb. Is there any objection to holding our meetings on the last Tuesday of each month? Then, seeing no objections, that motion has unanimously been passed, and we will continue to hold our meetings on the last Tuesday of each month. Now, we also need to determine our recess schedule. The Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board has traditionally recessed its December meeting. Do we want to continue to do that? Is there a motion to recess our meetings in December?
Motion.
Herb, seconded by Lisa. Are there any objections to recessing the meeting in December on the last Tuesday of the month? Seeing no objections, we will continue to recess the December meeting. Also, we generally take action to request participation in the Olelo broadcast program. Our meetings are recorded and they are cablecast on the Olelo webpage. And I'd like to entertain a motion that we continue to participate in the Olelo program. Lisa has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Herb seconds. So are there any objections? Hearing none, we have taken action to approve participation in the Olelo broadcast program for this coming year. Okay, that takes care of our housekeeping tasks. So we're going to be moving on with the rest of our agenda. And next on our agenda is public generated issues. Is there anyone who would like to bring to the board's attention a public generated issue that is not on our agenda tonight, but you want to bring to our attention? Go ahead. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Cleo Nakoa. And if some of you may or may not know, but Hawaii Kai baseball season is about to start. In 2 weeks, the kids will be filling the Cocoa Head Park every Saturday and Sunday. There's a couple of special events where we won't have games on the weekends. But what's happening now is because we, made the gates electronic and it opens up earlier than it used to. By the time we get there, by the time us coaches get there, the parents, the kids, the parking lot's full. So what's been happening in the last couple weekends is we get up to the park, the stalls are full, and we end up getting a ticket. Because yes, we are parking on the grass. There is no parking signs on the grass. But if you made your way up to Cocoa Head, whether you're hiking or you're just, checking out the scenery, you understand that parking is very scarce up there. And, we're there for the kids. We're not getting paid to coach these kids. We're not trying to spend every Saturday and Sunday at the park. I have multiple children playing different age groups. So our weekend is pretty much spent at the park. So sometimes, for instance, this Saturday we went there and we parked on the grass and the cop came and she was really nice and she said, if there's stalls available, then please park at the stall. And all we said was, hey, we just want to unload. We got the little kids, we got the bags, we got the baseballs, we got everything. We need to unload if we can. And she let us unload. But she mentioned if there's stalls all the way by the lifeguard staging area or their headquarters, then we're supposed to park over there. And if you know how far that is with the baseball gear with 2 little kids, that's a lot. So all we're asking for is, we made changes to allow the gate to open up for the hikers to get there. And this was a foreseen event when I was on the board. One thing we're asking for is the board support, the community support, and allowing us just to, until, the city or PD can come up with a better plan just for us to have that option to continue coaching our kids. I mean, even with all the stalls that there is now, there's still not enough parking for the amount of teams and families that are there. We do have a hard time finding stalls in general, so we're usually dropping kids off. Sometimes we end up parking on the streets in general. So come September 6th, September 7th, the start of the baseball season, it's going to get hectic. And, the tickets are $35. And, as we all know, every dollar counts in Hawaii. And especially when, as coaches, we have to buy our own baseballs. We have to buy our own catcher's gears. We have to buy our own protective gear for our athletes. So we're just asking for some kind of consideration. I know we did it for the hikers. And if there could be some kind of plan, or we can ask PD to just postpone until we can figure out options for the families and the kids. We have a lot of resources around the baseball park, where we've been jogging ideas around the park to get us more parking. I would love paved parking because every time we park in the grass, that dirt over there is just gnarly. So there's no sense in washing our trucks or whatever. So, but if we could get you guys' assistance or, put a bug in the city's ear or PD's ear to, at least give us some grace until we can find a better solution for us and our kids. Thank you.
Questions from the board? Elizabeth?
So you said it starts like September 6th. How long does it run?
So it usually runs till about November, and then we'll take a break. And then this is just a fall ball. So fall ball is a little more mellow. And then then we get the Hawaii Kai Spring League. And that's the one where a lot more teams come because it's a lot more competitive. The kids are getting ready for the Little League World Series. As you guys know, Hawaii Kai won the Cal Ripken. And, they started here when they were small, and now they're, winning championships. So the seasons is fall and spring.
So about how many weeks or months? I'm just trying to think if there was something to look at. What kind of block of time are we looking at?
So the season starts beginning of September, and you're looking at maybe mid to late November is when the fall season will end.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember when spring is.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
baseball's year round for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions for Cleo? Cleo, thank you for bringing that to our attention. We have someone in the audience who has heard your concern, and I'm sure that they will consider what they might be able to do as options.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other public generated issues to share with the board? Come on up.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, I'm Julian Lipsher. I've appeared before the board before, and as you brought up the issue earlier about commercial vehicles or boats parked on the street, I brought this issue before the board previously, and it seems that the approaches that we've taken have yielded at best limited results. And as we've heard from the police department, you can call them and they can put a tag on it, but those are incidental, and that just will require, multiple attempts. And I think the real issue is the way the ordinance is written. And as Chair, you had said, the ordinance 15-16.6, storage and parking of commercial vehicles, or 15-13.8, abandoned vehicles on the streets. The way the ordinance appears to be written is that if the vehicle is moved at any length, we're talking a foot, an inch, that is a way to skirt the law. So the remedy is to have the ordinance rewritten. It's a longer, process. The political process always takes a long time. But I really would like to thank the board, the police department who had come out, Chair Waters' office, Mayor's office. Amy, thanks. Brandon, you were good at helping out. But I think the reasonable approach, and I would ask the board to consider this, is to put in a request to the council to rewrite the ordinance so that it is not as easy as it is to skirt the law. And as I've said before, these vehicles have been on the street for now about 7 years. So 4 hours, 7 years, it's really the way the ordinance is written that permits owners to take advantage of the situation. So thanks for the opportunity to present, and that's my request.
Julian, we actually do have this on the agenda under board business, and it's open for public input, but we also might consider taking action to make such a request. Perhaps to rewrite the ordinance, and also perhaps to have a larger tow truck available that might be able to tow larger vehicles off the streets. I think that has also been a problem, that they haven't been able to remove commercial vehicles because they don't have a tow truck large enough to do that. So
that's an issue of what how the contract is put out,
yeah,
what's required.
Okay, so if you want to hang around a little bit longer, it is on our agenda a little later in the meeting.
Sorry to preempt the issue.
That's not a problem.
Yeah.
All right. Any other public generated issues? I'm sorry, Lisa, did you have a question? For Julian? Go ahead.
I'll ask the question once we discuss it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda is considering our vacancies. We have 4 vacancies on our 15-member board for sub-districts 1, 3, 8, and 9. Sub-district 1 is Marina West, which is the area right at the entrance to Hawaii Kai on town side of Hawaii Kai Drive. Sub-district 3 is the Hawai'i Valley. Sub-district 8 is Lunalilo Park, Mauka, which is the area Mauka of Kaiser High School. And Sub-district 9, Lunalilo Park, Makai, which is the ocean side of Kaiser High School. Do we have any volunteers tonight who would like to submit their application to serve on this board in an open seat. Would you please come on up and introduce yourself and tell us which position you would like to be considered for?
Good evening, Chair, board members, community members. My name is Johanna Ward. I'm interested in Subdistrict 3, Hawai'i Valley. I live in Upper Hawai'i Valley. I'm here to humbly ask for your support in appointing me to serve as a member of this neighborhood board, a place where voices are not only heard, but honored, and where decisions made in this space can make lasting impact. This board was created in 1977 with a clear and powerful purpose to increase and assure community participation in the government's decision-making process. This purpose is deeply personal to me. In the early 1990s, my father sat on this board before he served as representative for District 18. He served as a member, not for power recognition, but because he believed in the value of grassroots advocacy. He believed in listening before speaking, serving before seeking, and building before boasting. His time on the board shaped his path to the State House of Representatives, but more importantly, it shaped me. Growing up, I watched him attend neighborhood board meetings, sitting right there, answer calls from neighbors during dinner time, and always putting the community first. This commitment will continue. Today, our neighborhoods face challenges, new and old, that demand bold listening and thoughtful action, from housing to public safety, sustainability, and preserving the cultural identity that makes our community uniquely ours. These are not abstract issues, they're real, and they touch each of our lives in tangible ways. I bring with me not just a legacy, but a commitment to show up, to listen deeply, to collaborate honestly, and advocate wisely, just as my father did. My professional experience is a legal background, combined with my passion for civic involvement, makes me ready to contribute meaningfully on this board. I seek this position for the Kuleana, the responsibility to carry forward a tradition of service that was passed to me and to be a bridge between our neighbors and the decisions that shape their lives. My goal in the coming months is to leave one of these at the door of every household in Subdistrict 3 to let my neighbors know that I am available for any concerns or suggestions to bring to this board. Included will be my personal contact information. I respectfully ask for your support and your trust to follow me, to allow me to serve this community, not just in honor of my father's legacy, but in service to the future we're all building together. Mahalo.
Thank you, Johanna. Are there any other volunteers for Subdistrict 1, 3, 8, or 9? Did you want to? Change your mind? Okay. Let me ask the board if they have any questions for Johanna, who is seeking a position on this board. Any questions? All right. Are we willing to vote on whether or not to approve her volunteerism?
Do we need a motion?
Yes, we do.
I make a motion that Johanna join us, Subdistrict 3.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Sam. Any objection? All those in favor say aye. All right. Thank you. Johanna, you have been approved by the board to sit on this board for the remainder of the term, which actually ends in 2027. So if you would come on up, Brandon will read you the oath of office and will have you sit at the table. Congratulations. Now, we still have vacancies in sub-districts 1, 8, and 9. I would like to let the community know that if these positions remain vacant for another 2 or 3 months, we will ask the Neighborhood Commission office whether they would provide approval for us to change these sub-district seats to at-large seats so that more members of our community who are interested might be able to volunteer their services and join us on the board. So those of you who are here from a different district but would like to volunteer in the future, hopefully something will open up and we'll be able to accommodate your request. All right. Thank you very much. We're going to be moving on to our presentations. First on our agenda is the City and County's Crisis Outreach Response and Engagement Program, known as CORE, C-O-R-E. And our presenter is Mike Buck. He is the senior planner of CORE from the Division of the Department of Emergency Services with the City of Honolulu. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Board. I have good news and I have not so good news. So I think I want to start it up by saying there's some good news. And some of those that I've heard from you all in the last several months are covered on a little handout that I have. Please pick it up at the end of the table. It tells you what CORE is: Crisis Outreach, Response, and Engagement. And that's, as you know, in government, we use lots and lots of letters to explain things. But basically, CORE is to help with the chronic homeless. And some of you may have seen during this session that there was some enaction of some rules and some laws that will make it possible to treat somebody maybe not at their will. It needs some massaging and it needs, you know, some tweaking before it is usable. But I thought I would bring that here because I think as a member of your community as well, for the last decades and decades, I have seen a change. We have chronic homeless in Hawaii Kai. There didn't used to be, but they're here now. And the only way we can deal with them, and I don't want to say it's about money, but a lot of it is about money. For instance, by raise of hand, can anybody tell me what you think it costs to have an ambulance come to your house and pick you up and take you to the hospital? Anybody got any idea? That's good. It can be 2,000 depending on the neighborhood. That's $2,000. Okay, now, what about, can anybody tell me what they think it costs to be in intensive care or in the emergency room for 1 day? That's about 2,500. So what we've got here is about $5,000. And some of these people, and they have nowhere to go, they deserve the attention that we're giving them, but we cannot do that without saying, what are we going to do next? So what happens now is there's a lot of folks in this room that are hesitant to report somebody. Pick up one of my flyers, report it to me, because what we are doing is we're in the community daily. And since my last visit here with you all, when this position first started, I told you that it was going to be an interesting road. There are 5 different presentations that I do at neighborhood boards like ours. None of them are on the cutting edge as much as you are, because you're right on the fringe of a tsunami of people moving into this neighborhood and not moving out. And so we want to be good, we want to be right, we want to be housing, we want to be fair, we want to be just, we want to be open our hearts for these people. But unfortunately, if you take, and the real stumper is, last month, for instance, 25% of people picked up by ambulance and taken to an ER on Oahu were there for 100% of the calls. That means that there are people that they're calling regulars that ride an ambulance to get help, to get a meal, to get a shower, and to get cleaned up. And the minute they're done, the hospital has to kick them loose, and they're on the street, they get beat up, they're back in the ER the same day. We have one guy that's been in the ER this year 250 times at $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 a pop. It's not about the money, but it's about wasting the money, because we would be better off putting this into programs, putting this into housing, putting this into education. And that's where you all come. The reason why I brought the pamphlet this time is the biggest response that I get, and I do an average of about 20 neighborhood board meetings a month, some on Zoom and some in person. This one I'm always in person because I like you guys, because I'm one of you. But I can tell you that it is tougher and tougher and tougher. And it's not going to get easier. We want to be compassionate, but we also want to be responsible. So what is happening now, if you take a look at the materials I gave you, every single Tuesday, and I am hot from it today, there is a meeting at Honolulu Hawai'i in the mayor's office. The mayor has whipped together a group, including city, state, military, and others, resort, everybody, to working on it. It's a homeless meeting every week. Everybody walks out with the same intention of going back to their people and making this work again. And I'm so proud that young Ms. Ward is here, because Mr. Ward and I were an advocate of this for years and years, and we always felt that there was light at the end of the tunnel. And I've got to tell you, I've been shaken about that. I don't think there is light at the end of the tunnel unless we are ready to pay what it costs to get these people help. And so whether or not you want somebody administered Narcan or whatever else they need, we are going to be doing that. And I want to tell you that there's some contact information on these sheets. When CORE gets somebody in, they're not just feeding them and showering them. They're helping them get their driver's license, get in touch with their family, get in touch with their work, get in touch with the reality of what's happened to them. And we are committed of returning these people. So far, since we've been doing this new twist, we've taken 450 chronic homeless off the streets. The repeat has been half of that. So if we do that each time, we're going to run out of people to help. We are never going to solve the homeless problem. There are people that want to be there. There are people that have Hawaiian homestead property that they rent to other people so they can stay on the beach. We need to get at these folks and let them know, you can do that if you want, but we're not going to pay for it anymore. We don't have the ability to pay for it anymore. I want to be here on a regular basis. Roberta and I have talked a little bit. You guys are active, but I'm also worried about retaliation. So one thing you can rest assured, if you are a homeowner or shop owner, particularly in this area, and you have a problem with somebody that you know is chronically homeless, if it's not a 911 call, it's a CORE call. And you can do this, and we will come and find out who that guy is. You may not comprehend this, but over 75% of those on the street, we know who they are. We know about the family that's down there fishing off the park. We know that there's no bait on their hooks, but they're doing something that keeps them, like we were talking about, parking a commercial vehicle on the city street. You move it a foot. There you put a fishing rod in the water, and you're entitled to be there. We want those people to have that entitlement. But we want to tweak the laws so that it is not quite so easy. So that's what I want to be able to do. Please pick up one of these things. There's so much more that I could tell you. There is a number of people that are now coming out of Kapiolani College. Some are going in as EMTs. The CORE ambulances that you see are no siren, no lights, unless it's an emergency and they're taken over by a regular, first responder. CORE is not first responding; it is picking up the really tough ones. And so, you will be able to track your guys. Now, there's sometimes a hotline that is just an answering machine, but we just found out with the addition of 4 new ambulances and 4 new areas of help that we're going to be able to have that helpline 24 hours a day. but the service during the daylight. If any of you have any questions whatsoever, please look on that handout sheet, email me. As you know, in the previous time, particularly when I was a spokesman for the governor here, you all got your answers. You may not like them, but that's okay because I know you all. So I don't really care if you get angry, but you have to do something. You need to help us to do this stuff. And I'm going to be back and back and back. I'm going to pepper you with stuff. And hopefully that we'll be able to, get it to you and get it uplinked so that you can take a look at it. In the meantime, this is one more thing that I wanted to make sure. I wrote this one down. What we're trying to do is engage and improve the quality of life for all people through compassion, empathy, and professionalism. And it may sound like rhetoric, but these words have been very carefully chosen. And there's another thing that you want to do is do not try any of this by yourself. Don't put your arm around somebody. Don't try to make a move somewhere, because some of these people will go off on a moment. And it's not you that they have a problem with. They have a problem with themselves. Can you imagine? I think almost everybody, correct me if I'm not going to make you put up your hands, but everybody in this room has somebody in their extended ohana that is involved in homelessness or involved in poverty or drugs or problems. These folks can and will be helped given the opportunity. And I hope that you support not NIMBY, but YIMBY. Yes, in my backyard sometimes, because that's what it's going to take. So please go ahead and pick up one of my little sheets. There's more. But the goal that we have here is to assist with the housing unsheltered and participant, regardless of disability or background. Some of these people that are on drugs are super strong. It takes 3 or 4 people to hold them down. I know EMTs. Every day I'm riding. Today I went on 3 service calls with the ambulances. It's shocking what they have to go through. That's why the more help they can get from me. I did not want to make a career out of this, but that's what's happening. And I'm really glad that it's a good niche. If you have any questions for me, Roberta, I'd be happy to take them. And I also want to urge you once again to pick up one of these little pamphlets and call no matter when to see if you can get some help. We want to help you.
Thank you, Mike. Are there questions for our presenter this evening? Yes, come on up.
Hi, Mr. Buck. Mike. I'm Carla Allison. I live in Kalama Valley. And a question I have, because I've been following CORE from the beginning, is it was originally designed to have EMTs and community health workers respond. I may be mistaken, but it's my understanding now that it's EMTs responding, and I'm wondering if I have the information wrong or what's happened to the community health workers that were to team up and help these people.
Yeah, that's a great question. It is being done. What's happening right now is these folks are in the field with black pants and a red shirt that says CORE on them. They've taken away the uniforms and the badges and the hint of any problems by saying, here's somebody. It is a great opportunity. There are people coming out of training that happens for CORE. There's also a great program now that is going to turn more people into EMTs out of Kapiolani College. They are doing a wonderful job. Hopefully they'll catch up with the demand. And the other thing is, until you've seen what these people face up and roll up to every day, you just can't believe it. And what's happened is Dr. Toyonagi and many others that are now being able to administer medication, it is taking 1/3 of those perpetuals and getting out of there somehow. But what you're 100% right. That's why there are opportunities there. I think the parents that hear this, and some of you that are parents have kids that are looking for an occupation. There is nothing more rewarding than hitting a home run with one of these people. And yet there are scary minutes. Walking into the parks like we do and I do with these guys every day, it's scary. But it's one baby step, right? And that's what I don't know if that's the answer you expected, but there's good encouragement now saying that their tuition will be paid if they guarantee to serve once they come out, and EMTs, and also the community health workers are, believe it or not, they're doing pretty well. I don't know, there might be a specific area or a specific person you know about that I don't, but they're not leaving. They were having a problem keeping them before. Now with the new vehicles, and hopefully they're being more recognized in-house rather than just expected to go out and do something. They are high five when they get back. I mean, they feel like they're part of a team, particularly those seniors that are willing to talk with people once they've been off the street, once they're in a tent, or once they're in a kahali where they need to be helped. It's hard to do that on the street. Some, yeah. And they're catching up with rental outfits as fast as they can. IHS, Catholic Services, and others are working on staff, and the city and the state are working on money to get these small houses built.
Okay.
It's a big job.
Are there other questions for Mike? Mike, I'd like to ask you, since we have had complaints brought to our board from the shopping centers, the Hawaii Kai Town Center and Coco Marina Center, that some of these chronically homeless people will go into the shopping centers and either harass customers or vandalize some of their properties. So I would recommend that you contact the managers of these shopping centers and maybe
Absolutely,
work
sure.
with them and
Yeah.
see if maybe you could provide some assistance there.
Yeah, that's it's a razor's edge there because it's a public place. You can't take somebody and prevent them from walking into the shopping center, but you can if they beat the law somehow. And not every shopping center, as we've learned in our neighborhood, is secure enough. The security is not there in some cases. You can't leave it to the stores. So I agree. I will contact all the centers and say, let me speak with your security folks, because we might be able to get them as soon as they walk in, is particularly if you can get them in, if you can book them and give them a restraining order for going back there.
I think that would be very helpful.
That's
I
the
did
answer.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, that is the answer.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Sure.
And thank you for sharing all of that information. Community members, we have a resource. So if you see conditions that you think need to be reported, there is an agency that will act on it. Thank you so much, Mike.
Okay, I'll leave these brochures over there.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Our second presentation is the establishment of a public viewing area at Pahua Heiau on Makahuena Place. Our presenter is La'akea, is it Rabies? Rabies, from the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Thank you, La'akea, for joining us tonight.
Before I get started, I just want to say that your officer elections was absolutely heartwarming. You guys are also very, very sweet. Aloha mai kako. My name is La'akea Rabes, and I come from the other side of the Ko'ola mountain range from Kaneohe. I am a legacy land agent with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and I'm also the property manager of Pahua Heiau that sits at the end of Makahu'ena Place. Pahua is believed to be an agricultural heiau built around the 1300s. Oha acquired this property from the Bishop Estate in 1988, and it sits at the head of Kuapā Pond. Mauna Lua Pond might be another name you know it by, but which was once the largest fish pond in all of Hawaii. Pahua Heiau comprises a complex of 5 significant sites and 24 features that are all recognized in the state inventory of historic places. Because of this, OHA finalized a preservation plan that details the measures to preserve and protect the heiau. One of these protective measures is to install fencing and to establish a public viewing area, which is the project I'm here to discuss. The public viewing area will install fencing near the property boundary lines in an effort to prevent unauthorized access to the heiau that might be damaging to the site and to the cultural features of the heiau. The fencing will be used to create a public viewing area in the space. If you're familiar with the heiau, there's a space that fronts the heiau. The fencing will outline an area from which visitors can view the cultural features from a safe distance. Educational signage will also be installed to provide information on the history and significance of the heiau. And native landscaping will also be installed to mitigate the presence of invasive species, grasses, weeds, things of that nature, and also to create a respectful and cohesive viewing experience. Please know that we have consulted with all the necessary organizations, including DPP and DLNR, to approve the project plans. The project is expected to begin in mid-September. Should take about a month to complete, so that would conclude in mid to late October. And just for your information, work will take place during the weekdays. It will not start before 7:45, and it will complete before 4:30 p.m. every day. We are committed to preserving and protecting what we consider an extremely sacred site with you folks and the surrounding neighborhood of Pahua. If you have any questions, I can answer them now, or you can email me at laakear@oha.org.
I have a question before I open it up. Will there be limited hours for viewing? Will it only be open during certain times?
Yeah, we're not planning to restrict viewing or visiting of the site. It is a private property, technically. So, but yeah, there are no plans to restrict viewing. Yeah.
Other questions? Elizabeth and then Sam?
Thank you, Lake. I appreciate it. I'm really excited that you're going to do that. I live close by, and I'm notorious for calling the police if I see people trying to make their way hiking, as well as sometimes during fireworks celebrations. There have been issues with people making their way on there, and I've called the police. So I'm happy that you're going to be doing that. I'm also excited because right nearby is Kamilanui Valley, which is an agriculture valley. And we only have so many sacred sites that we know of right now in Manalua. So my question, so thank you. My question is, at one of the sites that we steward is Hawai'i Heiau. And often when we do our orientation, we speak a little about Pahua. And sometimes we know there's opportunity for educational outreach with manalua.net.
Anne-Marie?
Yes. And so will there be opportunity to continue to work with her, or are you going to be our person? Don't know yet.
No, so she hopefully we'll continue to have her work with us. We're in between contracts right now, but
Okay, fair enough.
we would love to continue our relationship with her, and by that relationship with Hawai'i as well. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to slide this over to give you so we can stay connected.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sam?
Mahalo for the presentation, and I'm excited to hear about the additional stewardship at the heiau. I'm curious, why now? Was there a series of incidents that has motivated OHA to take this action, or is this a wider initiative on OHA to better steward many heiaus and cultural sites?
Yeah. OHA's, if you go to OHA's website, you'll get the impression that OHA is a large landowner, but that's mainly due to a forest in Puna. So we don't have a lot of heiau in our portfolio. But because Pahua is a sacred site, there are cultural features, archaeological features, and those features are registered with the state inventory. That in and of itself requires the creation of this preservation plan and performing some protective measures. And so in that plan, it kind of tells us to put fencing, to establish a buffer area, to keep people away, to put fencing, and to establish a public viewing area. So that's the genesis of starting that plan. There are people that walk through the property to go hiking behind it. We have had walls damaged in the past. I just show up to the site and they've fallen. We work with cultural practitioners to restore it, of course, and follow all protocols. And then we initially had planned to do this a few years back, but delays in material and at one point we did think we needed a permit, but we checked with DPP, and because of the size of the fence and the non-existent ground disturbance, we just decided that we don't need a permit for the type of fencing that we are installing. So all those things together, yes, we wanted and need to install a fence to protect it and establish a public viewing area. And then it was delayed for a few years. Yeah.
Yes, Lisa?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming this evening. We're very excited about this, but
Good.
I have a question about long-term maintenance. Is this a one and done? We're going to do it and then we're going to walk away, or are there plans to maintain it in perpetuity?
Yeah, the preservation plan is approved, it's finalized and approved, and it has measures in which it guides OHA to perform in perpetuity. And that's vegetative maintenance, rehabilitation of features, protection of other features and stuff like that. And in general, OHA is committed to protecting and preserving our historic and cultural sites, and specifically the ones that are we own. Yeah. So there, yeah.
That's what we want to hear, because
Yeah.
what we're used to is, we build it and let it kind of rot.
Yeah.
So now that OHA is coming in to really preserve it, we'd like to know that OHA is
yeah.
going to be, making a real commitment to do this long-term. And
definitely.
that's really what we want to hear. And we're very grateful for that to happen. So
Oh,
thank
good.
you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for coming tonight and sharing all of this information with us. We're looking forward to it.
Okay.
Maybe you can let us know when the work is completed and when we'd be able to go visit.
Yeah, sure.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the Walk, Bike, Drive, a presentation by the Hawaii Bicycling League to promote friendliness between pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicle drivers. Our presenter is Paula Bender from the Walk, Bike, Drive Coordinator and from the Hawaii Bicycling League. So Paula, welcome.
Thank you, Roberta. I had sent a video that should be.
I'm afraid that our connection to the Wi-Fi is not strong enough to be able to make that link.
That's fine. Okay, so I actually took extra notes for this situation because it sometimes gets lost in Ethernet anyway. My name is Paula Bender. I am the Walk, Bike, Drive Coordinator for Hawaii Bicycling League. I've been a cyclist for 62 years. And my last accident where I cracked 10 ribs and broke my collarbone was when one of our homeless people out at the bay tried to get away from the crowd of the Kahiti Coast Walk Run on November 24th. So that's how come I know how much it costs to ride in an ambulance. Okay, so anyway, Walk, Bike, Drive is funded by the state Department of Transportation. And between July and September 30th, I'm supposed to reach 300 people with our message of the vulnerable users road law. So everybody who's not in a car, not in a truck, not on a bus or in a bus, and not driving a van, they're not vulnerable. But everybody who's on a bike, who's walking, who's running, who's on a scooter, who's doing a wheelie on their e-bike in front of you and you're like freaking out, those are vulnerable users. If you hit someone who is a vulnerable user, regardless of whether it's legal on the legality is on your side, they're considered vulnerable, so there are higher fines and penalties, stringent penalties for people who are driving. So in a way, I think if I were driving a car and this was going on around me, because we do see swarms of these mopeds and e-bikes doing all their tricks and taking over the road, I'm feeling pretty vulnerable, you know? And so I have to be extra careful. We all have to be extra careful. So this actually was designed for me to address the safety of cyclists and the safety of pedestrians. But I kind of feel like I have to include these more reckless users of the road. And so that's why I have to mention that now. Let's see. So part of my program to reach 300 drivers, I've gotten UPS to have 155 local Oahu drivers to watch the presentation that I thought you might be seeing tonight. Let me check my notes. There are things that help cyclists when they're in high traffic areas such as South Street or McCully. They have these green bike boxes. And so the cyclist has this box to get in front of the cars. And so I do see sometimes cars or trucks on that block. And so the cyclist can't get on it. But the point of that is to give a cyclist a head start. So across McCully or Kapiolani on McCully gives them a head start because they still have a block to go before the bicycle path starts again. And so I'm just trying to get people to find their zen, relax when you're driving, and look out for these vulnerable users. As a HBL person, I know that we do not reach all the cyclists. I also know that cyclists, I'm a road cyclist, and I've done races and triathlons. I know that people that I ride with or I see are jerks out there, and they will run red lights. And I know that cars are seeing this, but I wish they wouldn't. I wish they would obey the laws because that's what the HBL promotes. Anyway, e-bikes, there are 3 classifications of e-bikes. The first one is that they pedal and can only reach, they have a pedal and a motor, pedals and a motor, and they can reach 20 miles per hour or less. The throttle one, they have a throttle, pedals, and a motor. And they're also limited to 20 miles of speed and less. And then the third classification are the big fast ones that go up to 27 miles per hour. So as we know, there's also people on doctored vehicles, e-bikes and mopeds that go really fast, and those are also a problem for everybody on the road, everybody who's on the road. Hold on. Okay. So HPD, their challenges are they do not pursue. So they're not going to be able to answer a call and speed up to the place where these shenanigans were going on. Also, they have to be able to differentiate between the 3 classes and whether the bike or the e-bike or such is in this class or that class, and they're confused about what is this class of this vehicle. And so the Bill 52 is governing these, and it's being updated. For instance, on Oahu, they all have to wear helmets if they're 18 years and less. I think everybody on those, any of that, no matter how old you are, your head's worth protecting. I They also, for those who are operating mopeds or e-bikes, a household member 18 years and older has to sign for the registration. Someone 15 years and above in that household is allowed to ride as long as they have the helmet, but nobody's requiring anyone to get any kind of education when it comes to riding on our roads. And I think personally that that's a real flaw that we need to address. I got a lot of my information from HPD Sergeant Thomas Billings, and that's from the HPD information, hpd.gov information website page. Thank you.
Paula, thank you very much for coming to share your information. Can you tell the board and the audience how to access your video? I mean, what website to go to? Do you have a web page?
We have it on it's not on hbl.org. It's actually, we have it on YouTube and it's private. So I will talk to them about making it public, and we can release that information in our newsletter. You can also probably, if you go to hbl.org, eventually it'll be up probably within the next couple of days.
Okay, thank you. That would be helpful.
Thank you.
And you mentioned something that got me thinking. I'm assuming that many of these 15-year-olds that are on e-bikes don't have permits. I mean, is there a license to drive on public roads on these motorized vehicles? I'm assuming there isn't, so that they're not going through the whole permit process and, you know, this driving classes and all of that.
You know, I wear my Bike Ed shirt because I also teach fourth graders how to ride bikes in the community. And I was out in Waimanalo, and some of these kids are big, right? You know, they're going to have NFL careers eventually, but fourth grader says, "Oh, I got an e-bike at home." And I'm like, "Oh, you don't look 15 to me. Are you 15 in fourth grade? Huh? Oh, no. Okay. You know, it's parents are buying them for their kids. They can afford to buy an e-bike for their kids. They should buy a bicycle for their kids instead." So.
Questions for Paula? Yes, Herb.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
A couple of things as a retired police officer. If they could make those registration license things different colors, that would probably help, you know, for the different levels and things like that. The second thing is there any in the laws that they're writing about packing young kids on the bikes? Because I'm actually seeing that more lately, and those things go pretty fast. So just
I know that on a bicycle, you're only supposed to have however many seats you have, that's how many people can be on the bicycle. But as you know, like a moped, it's kind of an extended seat. It almost seems like it's built for you to carry your friend along with you. E-bikes, I don't believe, have an extended seat, so they shouldn't be packing a friend on the handlebars either.
Any other questions for Paula?
I brought bumper stickers in case anybody's interested. It's the one that says, "Give us 3 feet," and that'll keep everybody safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. Our next presentation is on pesticides in Hawaii. And our presenter is Ella Alexander, who is an intern with Representative Amy Peruso's office. And Ella's not here tonight? Oh, Ella, come on up.
Hi, I'm Ella. I'm an intern for the Office of Amy Peruso, and this is my office manager, Yvonne. She'll be presenting as well.
Hi, aloha everyone. We are also joined by our other intern, Olivia Eagle, and actually we're trying to see if we can get screen share available because we have a presentation tied to this. If that's allowable.
Are you sharing your screen?
Well, we can start. So my name is Yvonne Yaro, as Ella mentioned. And the reason why we're around and why we're joining your folks' community and grateful that you are allowing us to join your community is because we want to share about our pesticides campaign leading up to the 2026 legislative session. So for those who want to turn around, we have our presentation behind us. And just so we're all on the same baseline, I just want to share that pesticides, next slide, please. Thank you. Pesticides are substances that are designed to kill or deter pests, including insects, weeds, fungi, and rodents. They can be chemical or synthetic or biological, and chemicals. Pesticides are often more dangerous to our human health and our environment. General use pesticides, you'll hear me using restricted use pesticides, thank you, more in the next slide. But just so everyone knows, general use pesticides are things such as Roundup and things that you can find at your hardware store, things that don't require a license. Next slide, please. So restricted use pesticides are pesticides that are not available for purchase or use by the general public due to the potential for causing unreasonable adverse effects on the environment or human health. RUPs still impact your community via local produce, and they may be sprayed on these produce that you're buying from farms located in North and Central Oahu or on the islands or elsewhere on the islands. With the help of our community advocates, mainly those with the nonprofit organization known as HAPA, the Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Action, the state legislature passed Act 45 in 2018, and this act established the 100-foot buffer zone around schools, stating that no person shall apply a restricted use pesticide on or within 100 feet of a school property during normal school hours. In the next slide, you'll see a couple of examples of some fumigant, soil fumigant pesticides that fall under restricted use pesticides. They're 1,3-dichloropropene, also known as 1,3-D, and metamsodium. So 1,3-D is, in 2019, there were over 177,000 pounds of this chemical sprayed on parcels, mostly in North and Central Oahu. It's a groundwater contaminant and it's prone to drift. It is also a carcinogen and toxic if inhaled, causes respiratory impacts, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting. Metamsodium is also a soil fumigant. It's primarily used in agriculture to control soil-borne pests like fungi, nematodes, weed seeds, and insects before planting. This is also highly prone to drift, can be detected up to 1 mile away from the zone that it's sprayed in. And it causes weakness, blurred vision, cramps, pupil constriction, sweating, lower pulse, and muscle tremors. So while Act 45 helps protect our communities from RUPs, there are general exemptions for other pesticides, such as neonicotinoids, which are among the most widely used insecticides worldwide. So neonics act on the nervous system of insects with very low toxicity to mammals and minimal environmental impact. So therefore, it's considered a reduced risk pesticide. There are also exemptions to reporting at the federal level to research. So under FIFRA, so the Fungicide, Insecticide, Rodenticide Act, over the Federal Insecticide Act, the type of registration is through experimental use permits or experimental field trials, which allows manufacturers to field test pesticides under development. And manufacturers of conventional pesticides must obtain experimental use permits before testing new pesticides or new uses of pesticides if they conduct experimental field tests. So according to Act 45, applicators do not need to report the time they applied, the crop pest that they are treating, dilution rate, or the specific site where they are spraying. On top of that, it is still being self-reported, and there's not enough of a regulatory body checking on what farmers or applicators are using. So it's not enough, and that's why we're here presenting at your board, just to gain awareness and to share with the community what's being sprayed on our islands.
So here are a couple maps for you guys. The first one on top is going to be the restricted use pesticide reporting form that applicators must report yearly. And as you can see, the areas in white are actually optional, and they include critical pieces of data such as the pest, crop, and time applied. And then on the left, we have a map of Oahu, and it shows where restricted use pesticides were reported to be sprayed in 2019. The areas in red are where there's highest concentrations of pesticides, and the orange areas are the other areas in which restricted use pesticides have been sprayed. Thankfully, in Hawai'i, there were no restricted use pesticides in 2019. However, it is important to clarify that this only shows restricted use pesticides. So unfortunately, we don't have any information on general use pesticides such as Roundup. And that's why we're looking for stronger reporting so we can just have more awareness as a community of what kind of pesticides are out there. Here we also have a diagram of the schools in your area. As you can see, there are numerous schools. So just want to make sure we're protecting the keiki in your neighborhood and ensuring that they're not being exposed to pesticides. So here are some current ideas floating around our office for the 2026 legislative session. Our priority is to implement a better reporting system to ensure detailed and accurate data. We're also looking to increase buffer zones in size and frequency, so increasing hopefully up to around a quarter or half mile at least, and increasing that to other community areas such as hospitals, parks, homes, and other areas like that. We're also hoping to include larger fines and punishments for illegal use, classify neonics as a restricted use pesticide, and then mandate soil and water testing, especially when selling affected land, just so buyers can know, I guess, what they're getting into and what damage pesticides have caused in the past. We're also looking for transparency in labeling because Hawaii grown does not mean organic, even though that may lead you to believe it would be a more organic product. So here's how you can help. One thing you can do is consider adopting resolutions. We did just finish a draft of our resolution template that we'd love to share out with you guys, just a general resolution about pesticides. You can also share your experience and testify, hold community meetings and forums, sign up for emails and alerts to stay informed, contact your elected officials, educate about pesticide use in schools, and stand with farmers by supporting locally owned organic farms and helping other farmers transition to more organic practices. Unfortunately, this opportunity has actually passed, but Rewild Your Campus is an organization focusing on eliminating pesticide use in schools. So they are a great organization if you are looking to decrease pesticide use in your community and look for more organic land care solutions. And then here are just some quick links to stay involved. The first one is to the HAPA website. Then we also have a series of Canva resources we've made for you guys and a map series, which HAPA made using data from 2019. So you guys can look at that as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ella. And your name was again? Yvonne. Ella and Yvonne, thank you very much for coming and sharing that information. Are there questions for our presenters? Yes, Lisa?
Thank you, ladies. I really appreciate your presentation today. And I really appreciate Representative Russo's work on this issue. And I have several questions. First of all, I really like the current ideas for 2026. And is she intending to introduce any legislation to address those issues? I am particularly interested in having the neonics added to the list of the RUPs. It was absolutely incredibly, could not believe that they were stricken from the list. And when Act 45 was passed, there was no reason for them to be stricken from the list other than political motivation. So let's get them passed and added to the list in 2026, please. But do you have any idea what she's intending to introduce as a bill, and what kind of support does she have with her colleagues in the legislature? And can we get, has she already contacted Representative Gideon from District 18 for his support? Sorry, lots of questions you may not be able to answer, but this is an area the neonics absolutely needed to be added to the list.
Yeah, no, and thank you so much for those questions. Yes, so in terms of agricultural, like expanding on the list that Ella shared earlier, and including neonics, that is under consideration right now. We're working with community advocates to find out the exact language that we want to use. And we're also tapping into some examples that have recently passed in other states. So Vermont just passed a neonics bill, I believe this past session, that's very similar to a model that we'd like to introduce. So that's being considered. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but. Oh, awesome. Thank you. And because we are starting as this pesticide education campaign and engaging the community, we are also engaging with our Oahu legislators. And as you folks know, it's the interim, so there's not much activity happening in the building, but conversations are starting, especially around maybe even considering special sessions. So leading up to that, we'd like to start engaging with the different legislators as well.
I'm sure Representative Gideon would be more than happy to talk to Representative Peruso and support this issue. Thank you.
Elizabeth?
Thank you for the presentation. I'm particularly interested in expanding on the boundaries. I think that's so, so important. I wanted to ask if your internship is going to extend into the next session. And if not, will you take your body of work and share it with the next group? Because if something is planned and mapped out and you want this board to get around to support it, you know, keep in mind, we meet only once a month at the end of the month. We sometimes miss opportunities to weigh in on things at the ledge. So I kind of wanted to offer that also at the city council level. I believe it's Esther Kiaina is starting a agricultural council or committee. You may want to just touch base at least, because you could create a nice synergy there. Just a thought.
So I am unfortunately leaving the office in a couple weeks to go to college, but Olivia over here is going to be here till December, and the interns following that will definitely be involved in this, as this is for sure a priority in our office for the 2026 session. And I also will like to stay involved as well. So I'll definitely keep in touch with you guys if you have any questions.
Sam?
Thank you so much for coming and educating us on the pesticide issue in Hawaii. I'm curious about Roundup and glyphosate. I know some cities and states have really limited the use of Roundup and or even prohibited the sale in certain counties. Is there any appetite at the legislature for a similar law, or have you heard of anything, I guess, within the Honolulu City Council of enacting something similar? Because there's a big concern with glyphosate being a forever chemical, and one homeowner may spray it all over their property and then sell it, and the new homeowner comes in, has their kids, they want to grow food, and you know, they don't know that this known carcinogen is in their soil and that they can't get rid of it. And so it's really sad when I go to hardware stores and I just see gallons and gallons of it available, and no education or really awareness of the long-term and even immediate harms. So hopefully that particular chemical and compound and product can be focused on as well, because it is very accessible for most people.
I would say that it's definitely a big issue amongst community, and obviously the legislators are going to be thinking about that as well. It is going to be a lot tougher with glyphosate in particular because it is a general use pesticide. Right now, a lot of the focus is on restricted use pesticides because they have that, I guess, like proven, obviously, we all know glyphosate is very harmful. But right now, the restricted use pesticides are more of a priority legislatively. However, we have seen that there are movements within glyphosate, like there was a bill last year that would have banned glyphosate use on, was it the government one? The, you know, the one with the dangerous pesticides. Was that on like government properties or? Yeah, I think it would have banned glyphosate use on state properties. I will definitely clarify that with you and let you know. But yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Ella, Yvonne, and Olivia for coming and joining us tonight. We appreciate the time that you've taken to bring this to our attention. And good luck on your efforts to address this issue. Moving on with our agenda, we're going to be going to our officials' reports, and thank you, officials, for staying with us. Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative, Amy Asselby, and with us tonight also is Director Laura Thielen from the Department of Parks and Recreation. Thank you, ladies, for staying with us.
Aloha, I'm Amy Asselby from the representative of the mayor, and there's a bunch of long-standing questions that I know that board members have wanted answered, and that's why the director is here tonight, so I'll let her take it from here.
Hi, good evening. It's good to see everyone again. It's been a little while since I've been here. Chair Mayor has given me a long list of homework of Hanauma Bay, the Cocoa Head Stables. I think there was a question about the parking lot up there serving the botanical garden and the stables, Camilo Iki Community Park, Sandy Beach parking, and blah, blah, blah. So I'll get on to it. And Chair, would you like me to just run through the list and then take questions at the end?
Yes, if you would. And also there was an issue raised tonight by Kaleo about the parking at the regional park.
Yeah, he and I had a chance to chat before he left. Okay, so first for Hanauma Bay, when Mayor Blangiardi came into office, there had been a working group started by the prior Mayor Caldwell with a number of people to take a look at Hanauma Bay. What we did is we continued that effort, but expanded the group. So in addition to the Friends of Hanauma Bay, the Parks Department, and some other folks, we also added in the Department of Enterprise Services, because they run the concessions at Hanauma Bay, the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services, because our budget has to go through them. Also, the Department of Land and Natural Resources, Division of Aquatic Resources, and University of Hawaii Ocean Science. I think we added the lifeguards as well because of the number of rescues and emergencies that take place there. So the group came up with a number of recommendations, one of which was to refresh the education program, which has been going on for a fairly long time. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. It was a learning experience for our department to put together a scope of services for a new education contract, and then also for the city purchasing department. But that has been put out to bid. The bids are going to be due on September 19th, 2025 at 3 p.m. It is expanding the education program in addition to the marine and coral reef, to also take a look at the cultural history of the area and the land geological history of the area, to add into online education opportunities and resources and more. And so there is going to be a online meeting scheduled. Unfortunately, the one that we had given notice to earlier, there was some kind of technical problem. So it's been rescheduled for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. People that are interested in learning more to submit bids, or just also the general community that would like more information, can join that at 10 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. And there is a link to access the meeting that was sent to the chair of the neighborhood board, but it's also at bit, like a little bit, bit.ly/AMA HBay meeting, bit.ly/HBay meeting. And that will be Tuesday, September 2nd, 10 a.m. The other activity that we came up with as part of the group, and I will say we did not have 100% agreement on that, but the majority of agreement. This board's complained about traffic backing up a lot at the bay entrance for safety measures. And then we only have a certain number of parking spots. We do have a limit on the number of visitors that can go into the bay, but no limit on the number of residents. And many of the residents who come there will bring a car. And so in order to avoid the backup and to free up more parking stalls, we worked with the Department of Enterprise Services to put out a concession to test out a bus company being able to take up to 500 tickets a day, and then to package those along with snorkel and other type of gear, maybe lunches and things like that, and to bring people into the bay via bus. So that would free up 500 not 500 parking stalls, no, maybe, in between 250 parking stalls, because you usually have a couple people coming in, which should reduce the backup on the highway and open up more parking for community. We did have a selection team that was created to select the vendors who applied for the bid. And even though it was done through a revocable permit process, this was published. People were invited to bid, and I think there were 3 companies that bid. What Enterprise Services did, the selection team included Parks Department, Budget, Enterprise Services. They selected a primary vendor to take 400 tickets, and then a secondary vendor that will take 100 tickets. So we would have 2 companies coming in. The revenues to Hanauma Bay will continue to be the entry fees, which will be limited to use for Hanauma Bay, and then a percentage of any additional revenues the companies get off of the transportation and the other things. So sorry, I'm just trying to take a look at when that would be starting. They have an awarded 12-month revocable permit. The first company that was awarded was Roberts Tour and Transportation for the 400 seats. And then VIP Trans is the second highest score. They will start a couple months after Roberts. And we're looking at the pilot starting November 1st. Date transportation services would begin on December 3rd. So they would be able to sell tickets in advance. So that is going to have the advantage of bringing in some additional revenues to Hanauma Bay without increasing the number of people that go down into the water and impact the coral. And because of rising prices and the improvements that we want to be doing to the bay, we do need to generate additional revenues, and we wanted to take pressure off of the city from starting to increase the number of people going in there, at least into the water. Because we have seen such a recovery of the quality of the water in the bay by having the limitations on the number of visitors.
A quick question. So the visitors that are coming by these transportation agencies are not actually going down to the beach?
Yes, they will be.
Well, they will be.
They will be, yes. But the additional revenues will be, in addition to paying the entry fee to get into Hanauma Bay, they will be paying the bus companies the transportation. And then the bus companies may package that with lunch, with snorkel. And so Hanauma Bay will earn a percentage of the revenues on top of the entry fee. And that will allow Hanauma Bay to be able to generate additional revenues without opening up to more visitors. So we're keeping the same cap on the number of visitors, but by having this type of concession with the transportation contract, Hanauma Bay is a very desired visitation. It's one of the #1 visitors. We sell out tickets all the time. So instead of just increasing the numbers of people going in, we're saying that this is going to become, we want to reduce the number of cars coming in. So in order to get your ticket, you could still try to get the lottery tickets that are available online or just the entry fee. But because those sell out so quickly, you also have the option as a visitor, not residents, but as a visitor, to obtain a ticket through one of the tour companies, and that would include your bus trip from a central location to the bay, and then whatever side amenities the bus company would also sell you. Okay.
Maybe we should break it up so that we can ask questions for each of the topics.
Okay.
Lisa?
Yes, Laura, thank you for coming and discussing this evening. Will these two contractors, will they be able to sell off a portion of their 100 or 400 tickets to subcontractors on top of that?
You know, I'd have to go take a look at the revocable permit, but I don't believe so. Normally what happens in these concession agreements is you don't have the ability to transfer it to somebody
Right,
else.
'cause we were hoping that that was not going to be the case, so thankfully. And what about the education piece? Has that been resolved yet?
That's been put out to bid, and so the bids are due in September.
No, but I mean, the visitors that are coming in on the transportation concession, are they going to come in and are the transportation companies they going to be educating their customers, or are the people going to be going through the education program at Hanauma Bay, or has that been resolved yet?
We would require them to utilize our education.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions on Hanauma Bay issue? Greg, and then Tiffany, and then Elizabeth.
Hi, the question about cars backing up on the Kalaniana Ole in the morning. Sounds like that's still going to happen if, because every site says that there's some tickets are available, but you always have to get there first thing in the morning. So that's what's drawing people there. So despite having bus service and that's not going to lessen that.
I think the bus service will have an impact. We do still have some tickets available for walk-ins because not everybody, you know, is able to get that. But those are staged through the day, not, you know, at one time. But what'll happen with the bus is that people will be able to make reservations in advance. So we do not open up the lottery until 48 hours in advance because we don't want people reselling entry tickets. With the bus companies, we've taken 500 tickets out of that daily inventory. And so a visitor coming to Hawaii could book a reservation now a month in advance through those companies. And that's going to take off some of the pressure of that. I have to get there, you know, on the morning when I'm there.
Yeah. Well, let me have one other question, or when this was first brought up, there's quite a driveway going into the park. And so we're kind of wondering why can't those who do arrive by car proceed into the park and maybe have, I don't know, just to avoid being on the highway, which also says no parking, no standing. So it's violating some law. It's like a city department forcing a violation on state property. Because that's technically, it's just illegal they should not be lining up along the highway like that. Paige, I don't know if she's still here, but she's the one who has brought this up in person. So okay. So anyway, just have you considered allowing cars to proceed into the park and then go toward parking, but it can wind around.
We can look at that again. What I'd like to do is let this bus contract take effect and see what impact that has. One of the challenges is managing the cars once they enter. The roadway going down and coming back up is fairly narrow. And then it's also very difficult to manage people when they're down there before the staff is ready to be able to block them from going down into the water. And so what we had prior to this system was in the bay, we knew we were getting about 6,000 visitors a day going through the payment system, but there was an additional buses were bringing people in early. Taxis were dropping off people early before we opened. And so they were estimating it was really more like 8,000 people a day were going on down to the water because they weren't able to manage that. So that's one of the concerns about not opening it up to cars early.
I'm sorry if I missed this, but you mentioned this is a pilot, right? A pilot with the buses? This is a pilot?
It is a one-year revocable permit, so it's not a long-term contract. And sometimes when you're starting a new type of concession, you may begin with what's called a revocable permit that would be up to a year. Either party can cancel it under certain conditions,
Okay.
but yes.
Okay, thank you. Elizabeth?
So just to clarify, the educational piece, the folks that come in on the bus are going to queue up with everybody else going to the education center.
Sorry, what I meant was that we would require them to use our educational videos and educational information. We will work through the pilot to see whether there is a distinction between this, but we would still have under the new bid out education program and is continuing under the current education program, the docents and other people that are there to provide information to people.
So whether they learn about it when they're on the bus or whatever, it's up to that service provider to take the information that you give and make sure they impart it upon the visitors. And you're going to see how that goes as opposed to having them queue up and go through the process like everybody else. Is that right?
Yes, they would be watching the exact same video as everybody else, but
Okay.
they could watch it on the bus. We can also have the bus companies can provide supplemental educational materials too through emails and confirmation things that sometimes you get from.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any way of measuring the effectiveness of that or if people are listening? That was one. And the other question is, do the bus companies pay a premium for this opportunity? Or are they just providing transportation and making their money from the visitor? I'm wondering if the city is getting anything more from those two providers besides revenue from the visitor. Are they paying a premium to the city?
Well, they're paying a premium in that the revenues that they generate from the services to the visitors, a percentage will come to Hanauma Bay.
Just a percentage. They're not paying,
Not 100%.
I mean, for that permit, there is no base price for
They
that
have to
permit,
guarantee so whether they sell the tickets.
500 or not, right?
Have to guarantee the entry fee.
Of course.
The commercial parking fee for their vehicles.
Which we know would definitely, thank you, sorry. We know for sure would sell anyway because you're so popular. I'm just curious about the possibility, maybe after the first year, looking at an additional revenue from, because you may not make it in that small amount that's going to be from the food court or that other activity piece. If you have those 500 people there anyway, they're going to go ahead and buy and spend. So I'm just looking for extra money from those companies for this privilege.
So, yes, that is another reason for doing the pilot project is to be able to assess the revenues coming in and whether we negotiated a good enough percentage. But please understand, when we're talking about a percentage, it's not a percentage of what the visitors spend at the concession at the bay. If they go to the snack bar at the bay, if they rent then those are concessions and we get percentage of those revenues. What the tour bus companies will be doing is they will package the Hanauma Bay entry fee with the cost of the travel there, with a box lunch or bento lunch, with a number of other things in order to make it more attractive. So sometimes when you go and you take a entry to something, you can select package A, package B, package C. None of those packages are currently available at Hanauma Bay concessions. So they would be in addition to the typical revenues that we would generate from people coming into the bay.
All right, we have a question from Paige online. Go ahead, Paige.
Okay, board member Alton asks two questions. Number one, are the 500 tickets part of the total number to the bay or in addition to the total?
They are part of the total number to the bay. It is not an increase in the number of people coming into the bay.
And then the second comment she has is she wants to add that cars not just parking and waiting on the Eva side of the road. Now there are tour vans and other vehicles waiting on the Sandy Beach side of the road to get in. I guess just bringing that to your concern.
Thank you.
Herb?
Thank you. Good to see you. My first question is, what's going to happen to the other businesses, like the guy right next to Walgreens in Hawai'i? They seem to use that as their business to come in, but they're not going to be contracted. Or is it just same as normal for them? I know they get people, they put them in their van at the Coco Marina, and then they drive them up there and do something with them. I'm not familiar with that, how they do their business, but that is somebody doing business there. So not being on contract, what's going to happen to all those other businesses?
Not sure what you're referring to or what is going on there. This is the first I've heard of it, so perhaps we could talk on the side and I could get a better understanding. But we do not have an agreement with that company, so if they're doing it on the side. And I don't know whether it's a legitimate thing or not a legitimate thing, and, but I'd have to find out more.
And then my second thing is I attend the Friends of Hanauma Bay meeting as the Park and Rec chair, and they have the money to get things done. Can they somehow get things done? That'd be kind of nice, because I know that they got all those millions back, but they're sitting on really bad infrastructure down there that needs to be fixed. That's.
As you know, the Friends of Hanauma Bay has worked with the city, and they have identified 4 million? Well, I think it's about $4 million in revenues that should be going back to the Bay. So for last year and this year, we worked with them to identify specific improvements. The Department of Parks and Recreation Maintenance Support Services has been going through a series of contracts to upgrade the area. So the parking lot reconstruction, which Lisa talked about earlier, is being done with $800,000 of the money that was returned to Hanauma Bay. This year, we've identified the roof of a building, some roll-up doors, doors to the visitor centers, and then taking a professional services contract to assess the faux rock around the buildings and the landscape walkways to determine what needs to be redone there. So we are working together with Friends of Hanauma Bay to identify improvements, and each year we're releasing a series of improvements that we can complete in that fiscal year.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to be moving us on to the next topic because you have a long laundry list of reports back to this board. So we've got a lot to cover, so let's try to be a little bit more judicious with our time. So Laura, go ahead. What's the next item?
It is getting close to my bedtime. So.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Next item, the Cocoa Head Stables and the Botanical Garden. So I did receive an inquiry from Chair Mayer earlier about whether there were plans to pave that parking lot. What we are asking the Department of Design and Construction to do is to start taking a look at redesigning the parking lot and the entry to the stables to be a little bit more efficient with that very limited space. There is design, is what can fit, what would be the regulatory requirements, community input, going through the environmental review and regulatory process. So we are years and years away from any potential construction. But what has been discussed by the garden is right now, because the stables come in, they take a sharp turn, they turn through the parking lot and go into the stables, and that's reducing parking for the garden. The possibility of having the entry to the stables come straight in from the road and then leaving that parking lot for the botanical gardens. The Cocoa Crater Botanical Gardens is becoming more and more popular. We're having a lot of people going in there, and there's also a lot of erosion in the area. So we don't want to continue to compound that. So at this point, we're asking if we could begin a design process, again, that would involve community discussion, community input. It would, take a series of years to complete, including permitting and environmental review, if it's something that is viable and goes forward. At any point in that process, you could find that, it's not viable, and then it stops. But that's the point where we're at now. The other thing, the question that came up is what are the improvements that the city's doing for the stables? So some of you may recall when I first started in 2021, we had several instances where the water line broke to the stables. That was under the former concession. And we had to get water trucks up there immediately because horses cannot go for a day without water. That water line is 1 year younger than me. It goes across the quarter-mile of crater. Our plumbers are frightened to touch it because it's iron and they're just afraid it's going to disintegrate. And we've had a number of situations where, you know, it'll be blowing off and they're going up there and trying to repair it. We have been working with DDC on a project to redo the water line so that it would actually come up the road instead of going across the crater and be a brand new water line. And it would serve both the botanical gardens and the stables and provide a secure water source. We were delighted to find out we actually do have the easements to do that waterway. While it would be $200,000 more expensive than putting it across the quarter-mile of the crater, the construction will be faster. And then if there are breaks in the future, our plumbers will be able to get to it fairly quickly because it'll be right alongside the roadway. So we're moving that capital improvement project forward. It's in design now. It'll go through all the permitting and everything else. Once the new water line is in, we would cap off the old one and then remove the portions that are exposed, and then the underground portions would stay. Kamiloiki Community Park, there was a question.
What's, 1 second. What about the demolition of the old stable building,
Yeah, so
condemned building?
we cannot use capital improvement bonds money to do a demolition because it's like you can't get a mortgage and then demolish the home. You have to, you know, have an asset that's still there. So I think the Department of Design and Construction was looking at whether there were operating funds to be able to do that removal. I do not have an update on that at this point. I apologize. I had talked with them, but I don't have a firm answer for you yet. Camilo Iki Community Park in Locking It. Right now, we have an interesting situation with our vendors. We have security companies that will lock parks at night because the closure hours is usually about 10 p.m. We do not have staff on duty that late, except at Ala Moana Beach Park and Waikiki areas. Everywhere else, the grounds maintenance staff, their work days are 6 to 2 or 6:30 to 2:30. Recreation staff may be there a little bit later, but not a lot. So we use private security companies to do locking of parks. The private security companies are also having trouble hiring. You know, our population is shrunk, unfortunately. So we have a set number of parks that we can lock or unlock, and we are maxed out in this community. So we do offer the option to communities that we could send you a list of parks in this area serviced by the neighborhood board that are locked. And if there's any where you feel that park doesn't need to be locked as much as this park, you can have that discussion and we can do a 1-for-1 trade.
I think that that would be very, very helpful. So if you would send that to us, it'll be part of our discussion. Thank you.
I think I'm down to the last two.
A couple questions on that, Greg and then Sam.
Yeah, at the Kamiloiki Park, there are no doors currently. So I would think how much extra delay and cost would something like that even add? Because you need doors in order to lock them, but they, you know, it's configured so you just go around a corner right now.
We'd have to go take a look at that. Our maintenance support services will manufacture gates because many of our comfort stations, they were designed a long time ago and they do require custom gates to be able to lock them. So they'd have to go take a look at that. And then if it's lockable, they would manufacture them.
What about if there is an issue with cost and paying the security companies to appropriately hire for this locking? Is there something that we can do around surveillance and having the cameras installed? I know that was an initiative started under Caldwell, but we still see parks being vandalized, bathrooms being vandalized, playgrounds set on fire. Can we have more of a robust surveillance system there to rather than spending that money on just paying somebody to go and lock it and having an additional measure of security.
We do have cameras in a number of parks, and I have to tell you, they do not prevent the activity. So both playgrounds that were lit on fire were caught on film. That did help us capture the person, identify them, and go ahead and be able to charge them. But it does not prevent them or stop them from conducting the vandalism. Ala Moana Beach Park has over 40 security cameras, and the activity still occurs there. So it usually is an after the fact for the enforcement activity, not so much as a prevention. We do have a community group at Pu'ike Bay out in the Leeward Coast, and they have a community watch where they will go around in the park. And they work with our staff on that. We have a number of adopted park activities and other things like that where we try to, activate parks. And then by having the closure hours, if people see illegal activity, they can, and that includes somebody being in the park, you can call the police. Sometimes they're not going to catch anybody, or if they do go in, they are required to ask the person to leave before they can arrest them. So the person may leave, but that builds up the fact that there's presence, there's people watching. Don't feel that it's not useful, because it does become useful, that it's like, well, let's go hang out somewhere else.
Well, I guess as it relates to Kamiluiki Park, it sounds like it's repeat offenders, the same people going back to hang out in the bathrooms and do what they do. So maybe you're not catching them the first time, but at least you can have some sort of record of who they are. Yeah.
We have identified a different bathroom design. We're trying to put it in place at Waimanalo Beach Park and Oneula Beach Park are the two where we're looking at new bathrooms. But these are bathrooms where it eliminates the indoor sink area, because that's the congregation, the hidden congregation area where the bad behavior takes place. So it places the sinks on the outside of the building. Each toilet stall has a secure door that just opens directly outside. So there's really not a comfortable hiding area. I mean, if 3 people want to cram into a toilet stall, they can, but it's not something that they're going to want to hang out in like the sink rooms. No.
Okay, you want to move on to the next?
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sandy Beach, I think, was the last item. So Vavamalo and Sandy Beach. Vavamalo, again, if you see bad behavior, call the HPD. They'll go out there. It'll get the reputation of being watched. I think people have been very good there. And we have a great partnership with the community organizations and keep getting the boulders back in place to deter the driving on the beach. And that seems to have been working well. I think it's changed a lot of the behavior. There's still going to be times that are a challenge, but I think we want to remember to celebrate the victories, because overall the place looks a lot better now. And that's been a lot of community engagement, which has been great. Last item, I think, was the Sandy Beach, a question about the Sandy Beach parking lot. There is a gravel area that people are parking on, and they were asking if it would be paved. My 2 cents. We have a limited amount of bond money to be doing repairs and capital improvements to parks. Putting a parking lot in a beach area on an island that's subject to a significant amount of erosion, and in a location where there are many historic sites where you're going to have to go do an archaeological inventory survey and other things and create some heartache, for a lot of cultural practitioners, I don't think is a good use of limited capital improvement funds. It would take years of going through environmental regulatory review to get a permit. You're going to, in addition to the cultural and historic sites, have a lot of non-point source discharge issues, because any drainage would go directly into the ocean, and you have to offset any, when you're building an impervious surface, to make sure all the drainage remains on site, affecting other parts of that land. So it would be a technically complicated construction. What we have been able to do in other gravel parking areas out in Oneula, where it was very kind of rutted, we were able to work with DPP to bring the ground up to grade, which meant filling in the ruts with crushed coral so that you could basically level it so there's no digging. If that's something that would work, but I understand part of the complaints is that this area is slightly above the grade of the parking lot, and people are complaining that the gravel's rolling down into the parking lot. So I don't think bringing the grade up to level would be something that would reduce complaints and would probably increase it. So I think, old school, part of the parking lot's gravel. Just be happy you're at a great beach, and let's reserve the bond funds for other really much needed repair and maintenance and maybe some new things as well.
Okay, yes, Greg and then Herb. Make it quick.
Yeah, quick. I brought it up before. The large parking areas by the Allen Davis Wall and the new bouldered off corralled parking area are almost inaccessible unless you have a four-wheel drive. I spent a couple hours in Kaiwi Scenic Shoreline today, and I couldn't park in the parking lot. I couldn't get there. And so when you talk about fill, that's where it's needed, just to even it out a bit so normal people can use it. Thank you.
Mine is something good. I'd like to mention the Kalapaki Street boats and trailers have been gone. I go by it every so often, and that was a complaint that is taken care of. Thank you. The bus stop trash can at Kalani and Pico, I think Sam brought it up. That's awesome. They put in a garbage can and it stopped it completely. So I want to thank you and you for that.
Has to go to your mayor's representative, Amy Asselby, because that wasn't park department, but
Thank you, of course, to both of you. And then the trees in the parks over at Wailupe and at the Kamiluiki. Awesome. Thank you very much for putting trees up. Appreciate it.
very happy the new administrators for urban forestry and parks maintenance recreation have been a great improvement on the tree front. And yeah, we're really very proud of the work they're doing.
And then the last thing, I do not like to be called a friend of the Cocoa Crater Stables people, because an administrator called me that, and that's the first thing he said. Well, you're a friend of the. Okay, I met Aloha Riding Stables and Horse Haven here as the Park and Rec guy. So I want to remove any of that thought process going amongst the city that I am a friend. Okay, no, I'm doing my job, my volunteer job for Department of Parks and Recreation. And I appreciate the stuff you do, but I don't appreciate being called things in my back.
I'm sorry, I'm not aware of anything on that, but I wouldn't look at the term friend as being negative or an insult by any means, but I will deliver the message to anyone.
It came out negative. Okay, so I just want to see our stables fixed and running. I learned there when I was a kid, and I want to see all the things you're doing. Awesome. I'm really impressed that we're moving along, but the stables itself, we got to get that going. Thank you.
Okay, Sam.
Just a quick piggyback on Herb's comment on the trees in the parks. Wailupe looks beautiful. They're properly irrigated. They're all native trees. See how Kukui, Milo. And unfortunately, at the Kamiluiki Park, there's like a dozen new trees. I know that there's an ordinance on the books to plant native trees whenever feasible, but 10 of the trees there are buttonwoods from South Africa, which are also terrible shade trees. And the area Kamiluiki is named after the Milo trees that used to be in the area, but there's only one that was planted. And so I'd really urge DPR to make sure that as many native trees are planted as possible, and diversifying more of the types that are planted.
I think our Division of Urban Forestry Administrator, Roxanne Adams, actually grew up on Molokai, is Native Hawaiian, and is very knowledgeable about plants. So she is looking for many native planted trees, but she also wants to make sure that we're planting trees that will survive, and then having enough biodiversity because of the invasive species that we're having come in. If we invest too much in a single type of tree, and that becomes vulnerable to something down the line, then we're going to see places just denuded of things. So she's trying to mix it up, but she is a big proponent of native trees.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much, Laura, for all the information you provided tonight. Couple things I think that you need to follow up on. If you or Amy could report back to us on whether or not there are parking options going to be available for the parents of the baseball kids using the Cocoa Head Regional Park. It came up under, public generated issues, and we're not taking action on it tonight, but if there is a follow-up about any kind of mitigation options, we'd be happy to hear that at our next meeting. I also wanted to ask you, because it was an inquiry from a resident, is there a formal agreement between the Coconut Coalition and the city for the maintenance of the stairs trail?
Yes.
There
So
is?
There was a formal agreement. We finished that and we entered into a second formal agreement on, the first formal agreement was to complete work that they had begun under the Caldwell administration. The second formal agreement was to provide maintenance. So they are continuing to do that, and we are partnering with them on supplies and materials to do that. And then as far as the Cocoa Head District Park, we do not have on-site parking that we can reserve for any particular group. I talked with the gentleman. We're going to take a look at, is there a drop-off area? But it is going to be hard during the high use at times. People, maybe we can get the driver to get up, drop off the equipment, drop off the kids, and then, go and find parking and then hoof it back up. We were taking a look at pictures of the park, but, again, that would be a capital improvement project to identify some additional area for parking stalls. If we let them park on the grass, it is eventually going to kill the grass, and the dirt will just erode and go down, and it's going to be a mess. And already just in the pictures, you can tell it's kind of on the path in that direction now. So it may be a long-term capital improvement project, and it may be looking at, can we kind of duct tape together a drop-off area or something in the meantime?
Whatever can be done would be appreciated. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to be hot-footing it through the rest of our agenda. Laura, that was really appreciated because there were many hanging questions that we really needed to try to address. Is there anybody here from Council Chair Tommy Waters' office? All right. Governor Josh Green's representative, Cameron Black.
Thank you, Chair, board members, members of the community. Cameron Black on behalf of Governor Green's office. I'll try and keep this very brief. A couple of things I want to touch on were the updates to the Cocoa Head / Portland emergency siren, and then very quickly some of the legislative acts that were passed, and I will keep it brief. Of course, the status of our siren systems is on the top of all of our minds, given the serious scare we had on the 29th of July. At the June meeting, I reported it was HIEMA, the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, estimated the work would take 30 to 60 days to repair the Cocoa Head / Portlock siren. And this is part of an effort to install 7 new sirens and repair 6 sirens. And I can appreciate that 60 days was too long, especially as voiced by some of the board members. The latest update from HIEMA, the Administrator Barrows has prioritized the Cocoa Head siren based on the community input and expects the work to be done in 14 days. I will follow up with HIEMA to ask them to let me know as soon as the work is completed, and then Chair, I can inform you for when this work is done. The second question that was asked was the variability of the siren tones, different tones for different warning systems. There is one steady tone that is used for all emergencies, and that's the same tone that we all hear during the monthly test. So that's the answer to that question. And I'll pause there in case there's any questions on the Portlock / Cocoa Head siren.
Any questions on the siren? Are there any questions in general for the governor's representative? Anything else, Cameron?
Real quick, the touted green fee that was passed, you may have seen, and this was the first ever climate impact fee that would increase our transient accommodations tax, including taxing at birth, cruise ships. The legislation is intended to generate approximately $100 million annually directed towards environmental stewardship, hazard mitigation, infrastructure resilience, and enhancing the visitor experience. You may have seen recently, Governor Green announced the creation of a new advisory council. So this council will help guide the expenditures of this fee. So I just wanted to let the board know that that happened. Also, before I forget, I believe Galen from DOT was going to follow up on some of the DOT related things that possibly crossed over into Governor Green, and I believe he may have done that.
No, because our agenda tonight was packed, I wasn't able to have him report back. But I did indicate that I will put him on the agenda for September so that he can have a little more time to get back to us with all of those questions that we had. He is online, by the way, listening.
Okay, great. Thank you, Galen.
Question, Elizabeth?
For the green fee advisory, I know that it's volunteer, right? They're not paid. They are paid.
I do not know that.
Okay, I was curious if they are, if you could let us know.
I can.
Okay, and then are their meetings going to be published so that the general public has an opportunity to listen or learn, or? That would be another question.
I will need to get back to you on that as well.
Thank you.
And if the mechanism is to let the chair know.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So are they paid and are the meetings public? Yeah. The other bills that I was going to mention are the fireworks one and meals for the school kids, and those are in the governor's newsletter. So I'll just leave it at that. But there was some action there too that was positive.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you
Sorry
all.
I had to shorten your report, but
And I'm sorry I can't stick around for the rest of the meeting. I am having something delivered for work being done at our house tomorrow. So
all right. Well, thank you
Have a
so
great
much for
night.
staying, and
Thank you all.
sharing that information. Bye-bye. Is there anyone from Senator Stanley Chang's office? I believe Stacy, is it? Oh, Casey, online. Hi, Casey.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you for having me. My name's Casey Shoji. I'm from Senator Stanley Chang's office. Our updates, I put it in the chat. You can sign up for our monthly district newsletter and our weekly housing newsletter there. And I'll take any questions at this time if you have any.
Are there any questions for Senator Chang's representative? You're off the hook, Casey. We
Right
don't
on.
have anything in
Okay.
particular that we need you to address right now.
Okay,
But thank
have a
you
good
for
night,
being
ladies.
here with us. Late night for you.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. I hope we see more of you.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye.
Is there anyone from Senator Chris Lee's office? Representative Joe Gideon. Welcome. Thanks for staying late.
Aloha, everybody. Representative Joe Gideon, representing District 18, Hawaii Kai, Kalama Valley, Portlock. I had some certificates that I was going to present, but in light of the time, some absences, and I understand we have a new board member. Congratulations. I'll defer this until the next meeting. Okay. I have my new July-August newsletter prepared. We've printed up a small batch at the entrance over here. We have a digital copy available on the website. We've done a number of surveys. First and foremost was to find out what topics, what issues are important to our community. I'll name the first four. Cost of living was number one. Hawaii Kai new development was number two. Homelessness, number three. And condo and homeowner insurance was number four. The topics were very close in the polling, but what's interesting, the infrastructure, aging, and maintenance actually landed number 6. But if you combine that it was in the majority of people's top 2, it actually would have been number 1. And I wanted to touch base on that really quick. To kind of chime in on what the governor's office reported, we've also been in close contact with Hawai'i and Director Barros, and wanted to concur that they did say 14 days. I reached back again just to confirm because I understand the date has repeatedly been pushed back. So I asked them, is this a safe date that I can share with the board? And he confirmed that the contractor gave that confirmation. So crossing our fingers. On July 14th, I'm sure many of you were here when Hawaiian Electric came and gave a presentation, very informative. Very thankful that they brought their whole leadership team out, were able to answer a lot of questions. I met with them again yesterday as well. They do have ongoing work replacing some of the aging infrastructure, mainly the underground lines. I asked if they had a plan in place as far as the timeline. They don't. They say it's going to take a lot of time, but they're going to work on giving me at least some type of schedule so that we can share. Because I understand, especially when they have to fly in any heavy equipment, they need to notify the residents, they need to vacate their home. I did also ask, what is the procedure when that happens? They confirmed that they use 3 methods. They'll send a hard copy mail, they'll do an email, and they'll do a phone call. And they won't make any action until they have confirmation that everybody is clear. Next topic, as everybody sees when you're driving into Hawai'i at the Bay, after many years of waiting, funding, planning, work has finally begun on the dredging. Funds were released in 2023, and it's a $6.8 million project that began on July 28th, and it's expected to last until April of 2026. No closure of the boat ramp or entrance channel is anticipated. Speaking of surveys, I have an active survey out right now. It's about 2.5 weeks in. In about a week and a half, we'll publish our findings, but it's the Hawai'i Business and Services Survey, asking our community members what type of businesses and services you would like to see. Being that, one, we've got a lot of vacancies in Coca Marina, Hawai'i Shopping Center, which was recently purchased by Hunt Development. I'll be meeting with their leadership team in the coming weeks as well. But looking to not only share that with the board, but share that with all the stakeholders, Coca Marina, Hawai'i Shopping Center, Hawai'i Town Center, Kamehameha Schools. So they have an idea of what our community wants and needs as far as businesses and services. As you notice, I did come in a little bit late. Apologize. This week, we're doing our listening tour. The House Republican Caucus is visiting 5 different locations this week. Yesterday, we were at Mililani Mauka. Tonight, we were at Moanalua at Aliamanu Elementary School. This coming Friday, I'd like to invite everybody, if you've seen the banners. August 29th, we'll be at Cocohead Elementary School in the cafeteria, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And it's called the listening tour for a reason. The Republican Caucus is going to listen to the concerns of our community and use that information to help figure out what types of bills we should be presenting this coming session. Let's see. I have a few meetings scheduled in the coming weeks. I'll be meeting with Principal Mew from my alma mater, Kaiser High School. And finally, I'm going to be doing the ride-alongs with HPD. We're going to be doing, well, I will be doing ride-along in the daytime and then one in the evening to get a contrast. But other than that, any questions?
Any questions for Representative Gideon Page? You have your hand up. Are you able to speak?
Board Member Alton is, I guess, asking for clarification. The 14 days repairs, when does that begin?
So it begins in 14 days.
Oh, from today.
From today. They told me 10 to 14. I'm saying 14.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
But I did stress on them, being that the date has been pushed back so many times. I specifically asked, is this a safe timeframe that we can share? And he said yes.
Thank you very much for staying with us and for your report tonight,
Thank you.
Representative.
And we'll see you at the next meeting.
All right. Anybody from Representative Mark Hasham's office? Okay, we're going to be going on to board business. We did receive somewhat of an update during the mayor's representative's report on the Kaiwi Coast and Sandy Beach homeless and parking. I have no updates on Kamilanui Valley agriculture except to report that the Civil Beat had a very extensive article just this past week on what's happening in the valley. So I urge everybody, to familiarize yourself with that article. It goes into a lot of history. The third item under board business is considering action on commercial vehicles and boat trailers parked on residential streets. And because of time, if the board is willing, I can try to draft a letter that, I guess, to the city council about making some revisions to the regulations and possibly including in their future contracts with tow companies that they make some arrangement for heavy vehicles to be able to transport them. Would that be okay? Is there anything else that should be included in such a letter? Is it primarily those two items? Then I'll draft something and bring it back to the board for the board to look at. Or I'll give it to you ahead of time so that we can, you'll be familiar with it and we can discuss it at the next meeting. Okay, and then considering the request for the closure of Kamilu'iki Community Park restrooms, I think we should wait and get the list from the Department of Parks and Recreation so that we can see what restrooms are closed. And if we feel there's a need to close the Kamilu'iki Community Park restroom, we might be able to swap it with another restroom or park. But that will give us a little bit more information, for our discussion. So I'm going to put this back on the agenda, and hopefully we'll have more information to share at that time. Okay? All right. Any reports from any board committees? Oh, for our new board members, we do have board committees, and I'll be asking for volunteers to serve on them. So I'll share that information with you. Approval of the regular meeting minutes. The minutes for June 24 were distributed for our July meeting. And we had no meeting in July. So we are at this point approving the minutes for June 24. Are there any suggested revisions to the minutes that were distributed? If there are no objections and no input for revisions, then I'm going to declare that the minutes for June 24th are approved as distributed. Any closing announcements? I know I've kind of run through the last few items very quickly, but I think that we'll have more information to discuss some of these items at our next meeting. I should also mention that I'll be traveling in September, and so I'm going to be designating someone to chair the meeting in September. I hope to be participating online from my cruise ship, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to go into our closing announcements. The next regular meeting of the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board is on Tuesday, September 30th at 7 p.m. at the Hahai'ioni Elementary School cafeteria and on WebEx. And our Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board regular meetings are cablecast on Olelo Channel 49 on the second Monday of the following month at 9 p.m. and repeating on that month's third Friday at 7 a.m. Videos of our meetings can also be seen online at the Olelo Net website or on the Honolulu Neighborhood Commission Office website. So I want to thank all of you for staying. Congratulations to Johanna for being newly appointed to the board. Congratulations to Robin and Tiffany for sitting through your first meeting. They all go till about 10 o'clock, so you need to kind of be prepared for that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, people in the audience who stayed with us till the very end. Meeting is adjourned.